it here. I was trying to charge my phone. It's taking forever. I'm a little limited with the charger I have today. But opening up the stream again here. I wanted to talk through. So I finished putting wires on all the lower parts, the treble and the tenor. So now what I want to do is, I need to grab my clamp for my phone. I wanted to talk through on the whiteboard what I'm going to be doing next. Those steps, just review them real quick and then get to it, and you can see some examples of it. See how it goes that way. And here's what I was looking for. Clamping my phone up here. All right. Hot dog. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Flip your camera around. Okay, whiteboard time. All right. So let's do this. I'll put you this way. All right. Oh, that's just too unpleasing. We got to square it up with the picture. Okay. So I've put wires on the treble, and I went right to left. The treble all the way down to the low tenor. Now I want to finish the process for those strings to get them tight up to pitch and get everything set away with the coils and all that. So I'm going to be working not on the first half of the process. We're done with that. Moving on to the second half of the process. Okay. First thing I'm going to do, what happens is you have, if you have the pin, and we haven't driven these pins in very deep, they're just a little bit into the wood, right? And our hole's way up here, we have our strings coming, our coils, we have our strings coming down like this, and then they're loose and so on and so forth. Now what's going to happen if we drive this pin down? This string will be more loose. It'll introduce more slack, okay? So the pole's here. It'll introduce a lot more slack than what we had originally. So that won't do, because the string will pop off the pins, it'll come off its path and everything else. So we need to make sure the string is tight enough that when we drive the pins down, it doesn't come all loose and create a mess that we have to sort through. So what we're going to do is we're first of all going to turn with the tuning hammer all the pins till the becket bend is at the 9 o'clock. Then I'm going to drive the tuning pins down to their height. And then we're going to crimp the becket bends in place. Then we're going to lift those coils gently and tighten, just an initial tightening to where we tighten both pins and get it close so that the coils, tight enough that the coils will stay up, okay? About the 10 o'clock position for most of the pins. Then I'm going to listen to the tuning of those strings, and if one is higher in pitch than the other, I'm going to tighten that one first, and it's going to rob some slack from the other side, so that then when I tighten the other side, they can rotate to the same rotation, okay? Then I'll keep doing that, maybe 12 o'clock, and then we're going to do a final tightening to get them to pitch, and then a few other things from there that I'll discuss as we go. But that's what we're faced with, so let's get on to it. And it's exciting times because the piano starts to come to life. It starts to actually have some pitch to it. So let me show you. All right. First thing we're going to do. Okay, let's get this camera in position so I can show you what I'm talking about here with these pins. Okay, look, these are really high, right? We need to drive these down. But look, we have becket bends. This one's not even rotated 2.5. This one's all over here. These becket bends are in various positions. We're going to spin them around till they're all at the 9 o'clock position. Well, that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to just use my tuning hammer for that. Okay. So this starts to tighten the wires considerably because the pins are so high. And it's actually pulling the pins, almost trying to pull them out of the hole. But I think we'll be fine. And then it'll be tight enough so that when I drive them down, we're not going to have a problem that way. Now I need to be really careful to pay attention to where are the pins that I've already... Oh, it's not going to be that big a deal because we've run them down. I was like, wait a minute. I don't want to accidentally try and tighten the pins that are already tight, right? But luckily that's not going to be a thing for us. Okay. We'll just quickly do all of these. And I'm pretty particular about this 9 o'clock position and having them all be the same rotation from this point on in the process, okay? Because it makes everything work out better as far as tightening them together and those Beckett bends ending up close to the same position. Okay. This doesn't always work out this way, but on my tuning hammer right now, it's really nice because when my hammer is at 3 o'clock, the pins are at the 9 o'clock, but I didn't do that on purpose. It's just, it worked out that way, but I don't know that I could reproduce that because the tuning pin, the tip is going to do whatever it wants to do when you tighten it, unless you put some kind of a thin washer or something. But anyway, that's not a thing. But so anyway, but right now it works out great for this stringing. So again, if you just join, the reason I'm tightening these first is otherwise these will be too loose when I drive the pins down, and we're going to end up with things popping off out of their positions where they shouldn't. It would just create a lot more mess and work to work through. This keeps things neat and tidy as we go through the process. Okay. You know, on some of these pins, there already is just as much torque as there would be like with an older piano, even with the pins only driven in a tiny bit, because this is a new block. It's nice and tight, beautifully tight. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do show you what we're achieving here. Okay, so all the Beckett bends are at the 9 o'clock position, you see, and all the pins are rotated roughly the same. That one's a little different maybe, but no, but basically the same, okay? So I'll keep doing that here because these are not. I'm spinning these around just till the Beckett bends at the 9 o'clock position. You can see what happens as we do that, as we carry on with the process. I'm going to put my gloves on because it reduces fatigue with the tools. Even though most of what I'm doing now is just my forearm muscles, they get tired from turning those a little bit because it's quite a bit of tension. Look, I have one tool and I'm able to do the same operation for all these pins without having to change tools. Believe it or not, that saves a good deal of time in the process. It also helps me be more consistent with each operation. You get kind of warmed up, you know, to one thing and you're able to do it consistently from there. Do this a little faster this way, I think. It's probably smoother with one hand. It just my forearm would get tired. That was the only issue. Of course, the coils get tighter a little bit around the pin at this point too. All right, just about there. Kind of tired from my forearm there. Go with two hands here for a bit for a rest. So we're going to be doing just a very few steps, but it'll take a little longer because we're doing it across the whole area, all the pins we've strung. So this is just turning the Beckett bend to 9 o'clock, okay? Most of these are, well, these are a little bit, these are pretty much all at like 3 o'clock, you know? Okay. That's where they're starting, that's where they're at. So the pin really does not turn in the block that far after we drive it in. You know, it's only 3/4 of a turn or less that it gets tightened initially till it's up to pitch. So that's really not that much if you think about it. So, you know, the pin block, it's not like it's going to be turned in the pin block a lot. And right now, I mean, it's hardly in the pin block right now. It's just tapped in a little bit, right? So by the time we get it fully into the pin block, it'll be turning less than a half a turn until it's tightened up to pitch. Show you again for anyone that didn't see what we're looking at here. Beckett bends on the left side on the 9 o'clock position, okay? Notice they're kind of hanging out a little wide. We'll deal with that in a second. But we've done that to the whole section, to the whole piano, all the parts that have been strung thus far. Okay, we'll zoom you out here. Now what we want to do is drive them in, okay? Now I'm going to drive them with some ear protection, and I'm going to drive them to where, let's see. Let's see, right to where the threads are just visible above the plate, okay? I'm going to put my ears on, drive away. You might want to put some ear protection on too. I can't turn down your volume. I like to sit down for this part of the process, okay? And just be pounding away here. In case you're worried, I have a pin block support under here, and I have had it there the whole time. On a Steinway, the block is so incorporated into the case and glued in and everything that just putting the pin block rest support in the middle, because it's resting already on the ledges on the hard rim, that's sufficient, okay? So anyway, the pin block is supported so that we're not damaging it as we're hammering. So here we go. So far, so good. My hands cramp anytime I do something like this with tools for a long time. Got to give them just a few seconds to get the feeling back in them. But if you were like invincible, then you wouldn't need to rest in between, right? But I'm not, so. There we go. This is what I was looking for right here. Now we can carry on. Just adjust the, oh, we're fine with the camera angle, huh? Here we go. I'm going to bring you down a little closer so you can enjoy this progress here. It's kind of fun to watch. We'll carry on here. Cramps the hands. You know, I did a pin block for another technician, and he was saying, and he was trying to drive these pins in the traditional way with a hammer and a punch. He said, "I cannot get those pins in that block. I can't. This is hitting with a tremendous amount of force on this new block." So anyway, if it looks, I've got the PSI up to like 110, 120, somewhere in there. I should go check it, actually. I'll tell you exactly what it is. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, we're at about 118 PSI. So if you know PSI and all that's, if you're familiar with what it'll do, these pins are very tight in this block. Okay, now I'm going to go around and touch up some that might be a little higher or lower. I'm just going to look and feel and just touch them up, just even them out a bit, okay?
Those are looking really level. It's looking really good. Can't get much better than that. All right. Okay, that's good there. We'll stow that tool, take my ear things off. Okay, now what we need to do, so we've tapped those all down, right? And I just went through and spot leveled. Sorry, I didn't have camera over the whole thing there while I was doing it, but I was just spot leveling them. So they're really level now. Now what we need to do is crimp, and I've shown this before, but now all these becket bends are hanging out just a little. Come on, let's get in focus here. The becket bends here are just hanging out, but they're a little bit loose. So when I come in here, I can crimp that in tighter. Did you see that? Do it again here. Here we go. Look at that becket bend down there. Let's see if we can get that in focus. It's not really in focus, is it? Let's try it now. Okay, so that one's hanging out quite a bit. I'm going to get my tool on it. And I have to, this one I have to like look there. Pop that in tight, okay? Same thing here. It's a little bit loose. We're going to pop that right in. Kind of rotate the tool. It's hard for me to do while looking at the camera, but there, it's in tight, okay? So I'm going to go through and do that to all the becket bends. Let's see. Just really quick like. And I'll put you over here. You can watch, you know, what that process is like, more or less. All right, so we're going to crimp that. Otherwise, if you don't crimp it, it won't go in as tight later. It'll kind of create a secondary bend that will, and which means that the piano, the strings won't stabilize as fast, okay? This helps them stabilize faster. Because new strings lose pitch already enough. I mean, they stretch out and it goes flat, and there's already enough of that going. You don't need extra factors that would take it longer for us to have this piano to where it could go to a regular tuning schedule. New pianos need an accelerated or more frequent tuning schedule because the new wire is creeping. It's getting flatter from where it was initially stretched out. Now that slows down exponentially over time. So really, really old pianos with wire, you're not going to see, these are two that I already did. You're not going to see as much pitch change because the string's been stretching out for 100 years. Quite literally on a lot of these pianos. So it's kind of interesting to think that these strings could be on this piano for another 100 years. I won't be around, that's for sure. I'm getting a call here from the piano. I'll connect it down and then I'll restart the stream and pick up where we left off. Thanks for tuning in. Check this out here in about half hour. Thanks.